now. And I just want to say thank you all so much for being here. This is our first masterclass for the music education organizations at IU of the school year, and we're so excited. So big thanks to NAfME and NBA and ASTA for collaborating with ACDA on this, and we'll just admit people as they enter the waiting room. But today we have Tiffany Powell and Kate Reinhard, and they are amazing. They are IU alumni, and today they will be presenting on how to teach elementary general music during a pandemic. So with that, I'll hand it over to you two.
All
Thank
right.
you so much. Oh, go ahead, Kate. I'm going to pull up my slides, but you go ahead and talk.
All right. So hi, everybody. My name is Kate Reinhard. I graduated from IU in 2019, so almost 2 years ago already. But I am a teacher at St. Charles School here in Bloomington, Indiana, and I teach elementary music, pre-K through 4th, and then also 5th through 8th grade choir. So I'm really happy to be here and talk with you. I also had the opportunity to teach in Chicago through the urban program at IU. I taught at a school called Reinberg, and that was kindergarten through 8th grade. So this year has been a little different than other years, obviously, but we've done a lot of things differently because of COVID. We haven't been singing as much, and we've reduced the use of shared instruments and that sort of thing. So we've had to be really creative in finding different activities for us to do that are still stimulating for the students and are appropriate developmentally and are most importantly safe through this pandemic. So, and then Tiffany, if you'd like to go.
Yes. Can everybody see my screen and hear me? Excellent. Okay, a little bit about me. My name is Tiffany Powell. I currently teach at W.D. Richards Elementary, which is in Columbus, Indiana, about an hour east of Bloomington. I just started this position this month, so I'm very new to full-time teaching, but I'm loving it. I'm having a blast. I did my student teaching last semester at Grandview Elementary in Bloomington. It's a Title I school, and so it was really interesting to work there. I learned a lot. A little bit about my educational background. I've been in a lot of school, like maybe too much. I went to Duke University and majored in music, and then I went on to Washington University in St. Louis and got a master's in piano pedagogy and performance. And that's where I really started to love teaching elementary age students. Then decided to get a second master's, because one is not enough. A second master's in music education and specializing in elementary general music. So this is really my dream. I feel very fortunate to have found my vocational calling. So I want to tell you a little bit of the COVID situations at both Grandview and W.D. Richards. So Grandview, within one semester, went from online to hybrid back to online. It was a wonderful opportunity to teach my kids about ABA form. ABA. It was very crazy and very stressful, but I learned a whole lot in the process. And currently WD Richards is hybrid. A lot of the students have opted for in-person, but we do have about 100 students online. I wanted to show you at Grandview Elementary, we traveled on carts. And by we, I mean all the special areas: music, art, library, and Spanish. So we traveled on carts. So you'll see 3 of the carts in here, and I want you to see which one looks like the biggest and heaviest. The first one you'll see is art, then library, then music.
It sounds kind of fun.
Look at this cart.
Although my 4th graders just blew my mind.
It's like Christmas around here.
Oh.
So we had fun decorating our carts, and yes, the last one was music. It was so heavy. I was sweating, pushing that thing all around school, but we wanted to put all of our instruments and everything we needed on that cart. So in case technology failed, we had all the things we needed to teach the class.
It sounds kind of fun.
So here's a picture. I know you can't see it really well, but this is a kindergarten class. I just wanted to show you the setup at Grandview. The desks are 6 feet apart as best as they can. Some classrooms were too small to put the desks 6 feet apart, so they tried their best. And the kids had to stay at their desk or sit on the ground next to their desk the entire day, pretty much, except for PE. But even lunch, they had to stay at their desks, and we had indoor recess much of the time. If it was nice enough outside, we let them go outside for recess, but it was hard to keep them socially distant at recess. So it was a struggle, but we made it work. At WD Richards, we have something called learning pods. And so we have 4 to 6 students in each learning pod. The students in a learning pod don't have to be 6 feet apart. So they work very closely together. They work at the same tables. When they come into the music room, they sit in their individual pods, but each pod is at least 6 feet apart. So that means if there is one student who contracts COVID, then they're gonna contact the whole pod and they all need to quarantine. So it's really easy for contact tracing. We also take every student, every faculty, every staff member's temperature with a handheld thermometer or a wall-mounted thermometer before they enter the school. If anything is above 100 degrees, we do send them home. So they're being very strict about that, and I think it's been effective, at least so far. Now, kids do not like to keep their masks on. I mean, adults don't even like to keep their masks on, but kids even more so. The younger students, like kindergartners, they don't understand what's going on. They don't get why we have to wear masks. And so that's been particularly difficult for them. We're encouraging them the best we can. We have posters up at WD Richards like this, Mona Lisa, wearing the mask, just encouraging them to do that often. And that's not always effective. And so what I've done is create my dog as the mascot, M-A-S-K-O-T. So Momo, the mascot, says, ruff, ruff, please wear your masks, kids. And that has been more effective than anything else. All right, before I dive into my portion of the presentation, really getting into the meat of it, Kate and I just wanted to say that this workshop is the tip of a very, very, very large iceberg that is elementary general music during a pandemic or even after a pandemic. And so we definitely aren't going to cover everything, but we hope that you can take away some really helpful tips and ideas. And this is a springboard for you to explore more of elementary general music. I am going to start my part of the presentation with a lesson demonstration. So during this time, I would like you to keep your microphones muted. So you'll find that at the bottom of your screen. You can just press the mute button. So you'll be participating, but I won't necessarily hear you the whole time because that can be a little chaotic. So please keep yourself muted until I ask you to unmute yourself. And we will be doing some dancing. And I know that some of you may not feel very comfortable with that. So if you would like to black out or turn off your video for that portion, you're welcome to. But I encourage you to lean into your discomfort and channel your best elementary school self. Because if you do the dance with me, you'll really experience what that activity is all about. So let's get started. I want you to pretend you're in the 2nd grade. You all used to be 2nd graders at one point. So please put on your 2nd grade cap. Thank you so much. And here we go. All right, so I want you to pretend you are a fish or a shark or a sea turtle. I want you to pick one of those kids. And we are going to do a dance. So please stand up with me. And copy me. I hope that you can see me well. Maybe you can switch to speaker view, whatever you need to do in order to see me. And I'll try to make the motions really big so you can see me. Bigger. Bigger. Jellyfish. You know this part. Large waves. You gotta swim. You shall. You do this part. Oh my goodness, give yourself a round of applause. You did such a wonderful job being fishes or fish, sharks, and sea turtles. I saw Kate over there. I think she was a shark. Give me a thumbs up, Kate, if you were a shark. You did an excellent job with your shark dance. Oh, I'm so proud of you kids. All right, now it is time to review our memory song. Everyone say memory song. What I would like you to do is gently pat your heart. You have so many of these hearts on the screen, and you're going to pat, 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 pat. Please listen to me while you pat the steady beat. I have lost the closet key in some lady's garden. Help me find the closet key in some lady's garden. Very good. Now sing with me. I have lost the closet key in some lady's garden. Help me find the closet key in some lady's garden. Beautiful. Now pat yourself on the back because you did an excellent job. You're reviewing your memory song. Now we're going to do rhythm of the words. Everyone say rhythm of the words. Yes, I can't really hear you, but still say it out loud. You're going to take 2 fingers in your palm. My turn. I'm going to do a little bit first, so listen to me first. I have lost the closet key in some lady's garden. Very good. Now let's start at the beginning all together. I want you to sing and tap. Look at the keys on the screen, the keys and the cards. Those pictures are going to help you with the rhythm of the words. Ready and sing. I have lost the closet key in some lady's garden. Help me find the closet key in some lady's garden. Very, very nice. Now, kids, I'm going to ask you a question. This is a very important question, so listen up. Is steady beat the same as rhythm? Is the pattern that you patted on your heart the same pattern that you tapped on your palm? Yes or no? Show me with your thumbs. Okay, I see a lot of thumbs down. You are exactly right. Steady beat is not the same as rhythm. Everyone make an X. Steady beat is not the same as rhythm. I have lost the closet key versus I have lost the closet key. You're tapping away way more in your palm than you're patting on your heart. Nice work. Now, I want you to go find a closet key. I want you to go find any key in your house. You're going to have 1 minute. I'm going to play some music for 1 minute. You have 1 minute to go and find a key. Maybe it looks like this. Maybe it looks like this. Maybe it looks like a totally different key. If you can't find a key, you can find something metal and bring it back. You have 1 minute, but don't leave until you hear the music. We got some people who are very quick. If you're always fast, oh, I hope everybody's back. Please silently show your keys in your camera. All right, we got many, many different keys. I love it. Oh my goodness, that's awesome. All right, now you're gonna take those keys and you're gonna make it, whoops. We're not doing that again. We are going to keep that steady beat. So instead of patting on your heart, you are going to tap on the table. Steady beat. Let's see what our first note is. 1, 2, here we go. I have lost the closet key in some lady's garden. Help me find the closet key in some lady's garden. Way to keep that steady beat. Now we're going to do the rhythm. Is steady beat and rhythm the same thing? Yes or no? Very good. So this is going to be a little different. You're actually going to tap a lot more. Same thing on the table. Ready, here you go. I have lost the closet key in some lady's garden. Help me find the closet key in some lady's garden. Very nice tapping. I would like for you to unmute yourself now. We're going to sing it all together. It's going to sound a little crazy, a little bit wild, but you know what? Music sounds a little crazy and wild sometimes. Everybody unmute yourself. You have 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, I'm going to play my trusty ukulele and you are tapping your key and singing out loud using your best singing voice. Sit up straight, please. Here we go. I have lost the key in some lady's garden. Help me find the closet key in some lady's garden. Please give yourself a round of applause with your key. That was the most beautiful sound in the whole world, kids. Wonderful. Okay, go ahead and mute yourself. Nice, nice work. All right, so remember, steady beat, not the same as rhythm. Very good. Okay, participants, thank you for being excellent second graders. You can now take off your cap. I am going to unpack that lesson a little bit. First thing I wanted to tell you is that the Für-Elise dance, the fish dance, is preparation for them learning about Beethoven, a little bit of music history, but it gets them moving to the beat and really reflecting the music in their bodies. And that really builds artistry and musicianship at a very young age. I like to use that with my kindergarten, well, preschool, kindergarten, first grade, and even second grade. As you can tell from the lesson, or the song Closet Key, that was a review. And so I have a memory song that the kids learn every 8 or 9 weeks. So it really gets into their brain and they learn steady beat, rhythm, solfege, and many other components of the piece as well. So you did such a wonderful job. Thank you so much for being great second graders. All right, so what are my goals in teaching elementary music during a pandemic? I have 6, and I'll go through this pretty quickly because I want to make sure that Kate has enough time to speak as well. So number 1, my first goal is safety, of course. I do regular mask checks, especially before they sing. So whenever we do sing in class, in person, I make sure that their mask is covering their nose and their mouth, and the kids are pretty good about it. Well, the older kids, I would say. I sanitize all the time, of course, hand surfaces and any shared classroom instruments. That's pretty straightforward. My second goal is essential learning concepts. And so I focus on one essential learning concept in each class. This is something my cooperating teacher taught me. So you can have a bunch of different activities, but they should all really link back to one essential learning concept. And so can anyone raise their hand and tell me, well, it might be hard for me to see everybody. Someone raise their hand and tell me what was the essential learning concept in that lesson that I just taught? Yes, Madeline, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Beat versus rhythm.
Exactly, beat versus rhythm. And you can tell I really drove that home. Thank you, Madeline. It's very important, obviously, to have a curriculum to make sure that what the kindergartners learn leads really well into what the first graders learn, which leads really well into what the second graders learn, and so on and so forth. However, things are progressing at a slower rate with COVID. So we're not able to get through as much of the curriculum, especially because there's instruments that we can't use. So I've had to alter mine, and feel free to alter yours as well. If you ever are teaching elementary music and are in a situation or another pandemic. If you hear my dog in the background, I'm sorry. He just wants to be a part of the workshop. All right, my third goal is to have fun. It is so important for young kids to have fun in music, because if they have fun now, they're going to most likely enjoy and have fun in music later on in their life. I think this time in their life is so foundational. I want them to associate music with joy, not something that's boring or difficult. So the first thing is variety, variety, variety. So I always want to shake it up. I want to do movement. I want them to watch maybe a clip from Ratatouille. That's what we did today. We are always either singing or playing certain instruments. So make sure you shake it up. Just like you would program a recital, you don't want all of the same thing, unless it's like a concerto recital or something like that. But most of the time you want to keep your audience engaged by having a variety of pieces. It's the exact same thing in the classroom. Cultural relevance. So sometimes I listen to the radio, even though I don't want to, and some of those songs like make me nauseous, but that's what the kids love. And so often I listen so that I can maybe use that as a springboard to teaching an essential learning concept. I just want to stay in tune with the kids, what they're listening to, what they're excited about. Number 4, of course, you want to assess learning, but keep it simple. And so I was really ambitious with my quizzes and worksheets in the beginning. And then I realized, especially with e-learning, it is so difficult to get those kids to fill all of that out, especially if they're not having parents sit next to them at home. So now I've pared it down to a 5-question quiz, multiple choice, true or false, that asks about that essential learning concept. Do they understand that concept? If yes, great, maybe I can move on to the next concept. If not, then I need to teach it differently. I need to teach it again. All right, my 5th goal is to use technology. My 6th goal is to not use technology. What? That's so confusing. Let me clarify. I like to use technology sometimes, and I like to not use technology sometimes. And that goes along with the variety thing that I was saying earlier. This is how I define technology within elementary general music. Some people might have different definitions, but I like to think of technology as various online platforms which require interaction from the student. That's really the key word here, interaction. So that means that they are clicking, dragging, drawing, listening and responding in some way. So them sitting there watching a YouTube video wouldn't necessarily be considered technology to me. Now, I wanted to say, I like to not use technology because something I noticed at my student teaching and my current school is that students are on their iPads and Chromebooks all the time. Even with in-person learning, they're on it all the time. So their homeroom teachers use technology so much now, which I think is great. It prepares them for the future, gets them technologically competent and savvy. But I think that special areas, including music, is a really special way to get, an important way to get students to unplug regularly. And so be sure that you're not, in my opinion, over relying on technology in your classrooms. So first, I'll tell you a little bit of the 3 technology platforms that I use primarily. Of course, there's so many more that you can explore, but these are the 3 I want to plug. The first is Chrome Music Lab. Dr. Galt, who teaches at IU, turned me on to this, and it is so fun, so exploratory. Kids love it, and so I often give it as like 5 to 10 minutes of reward at the end of a lesson if they've been on good behavior. I would show you, but I think we're short on time, so I will let you explore that on your own. Feel free to take a screenshot, or you can email me for the slides later. The second is Smithsonian Folkways recordings, something that Dr. Gall also introduced to me, and I'm really passionate about world music. If you ever enter into the elementary general music world, I would highly recommend like making world music a thing in your classroom. It's not just a unit, I do it throughout the year, and this is a place where you can go and find really authentic music, as well as lesson plans, activities from any continent. They have activities from all different countries. So this is something that you can use for your lesson planning, or you can set students on a scavenger hunt. So you can maybe say, I need you to find a piece in 3/4 meter from the continent of Asia, go. And you know, they have so many countries that they can explore, and they're listening to all these songs like, okay, is this in 3/4 meter? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, okay. And they'll come back to you with a song or a piece in 3/4 meter. So that's one way that you can use that. Now, Quaver is something, raise your hand if you've heard of Quaver. Awesome. If you haven't, that's okay. I'm going to introduce you to it right now. Quaver is an exceptional resource, in my opinion. Monroe County School District uses Quaver. They've purchased it for their elementary music teachers. And so let me show you. Here is an interactive, very simple interactive that I use with the kids. And let's say my essential learning concept for that day was the brass family within an orchestra, within the orchestra. So I've taught the kids about those 4 instruments, but they haven't really heard what it sounds like. They haven't learned the parts. And so I say, okay, for the next 5 minutes, go on this particular activity. I'll give them the link, and they go on and they can explore at their own pace. They can choose which instrument they want to explore first. So let's say they want to explore the tuba. Awesome. They're like, man, that tuba is so cool. Let me listen to the trumpet now. So this is something that they can do on their own, you know, like they're sitting at their desk in person, or you can do this asynchronously over e-learning, send them off for 5 minutes. They're doing this on their own. They're facilitating their own learning. And then you come back together as a class, and the kids really enjoy that. And it gets after, like I said before, a really specific essential learning concept. So Quaver has so many songs, interactives, worksheets, videos that you can use. So you can consider looking into that and perhaps purchasing it for the future. Let me make sure I can get back here. Okay, excellent. If you have any questions about this, we'll have time at the end of the workshop. All right, non-technology. So like I said, I love doing non-technology things because it gets the kids, it engages other parts of their brain, and they tend to be more kinesthetic and active. So singing, of course, like we just did. Classroom instruments. only those that you can sanitize safely. So we're not using guitars or ukuleles right now because we don't have the means to sanitize those safely without damaging the instruments. So you have to be really wise about that. And then individual instrument bags. So this is a big thing. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and just show you what my cooperating teacher put together in my student teaching experience. And she made 450 of these bags. She used her own money, which is amazing because she doesn't have a great budget, but hopefully you'll get a budget in the future to put things like this together for your kids. So I'm going to stop sharing so I can show this up close. Okay, so the kids, like, oh my goodness, it was Christmas. It was like Christmas when we handed this out, okay? They loved this instrument bag. So really cheap, simple things like found sounds. So we've got rhythm sticks. We've got a streamer here made out of yarn. So you can use this for vocal warm-up. Woo! Kids love that. Solfege stick. So me, so me. These are for kindergartners, but the more advanced version for like 5th and 6th grade would be a solfege stick that looks like this. And if you're friends with me on Instagram, you've seen me post about this. Okay, so they would just use their thumbs to go do, re, mi, so, la. And then you can do patterns in there. And of course you can fill in the entire solfege scale as well. Super cool. The kids, this is their favorite. Pool noodle scrapers. So you can do rhythm or beat with this. Awesome. Cheap little maracas or egg shaker. There are beans inside. The kids were like, can we open them? Can we see the beans? And we were like, no, please don't, because they'll fall apart. Don't do that. Just trust us that there are beans inside. Steady beat cup. I have lost the closet key. This is their drum, okay? Then I had the kids make, these are more kindergarten, 1st grade. They made loud and soft cards. So thunder, rain. And so they would listen to pieces and hold up when it was loud, hold up when it was soft. So they can add to this bag throughout the year. It's like their little personal bag of goodies. And then the last thing that we have in here is like a folded up piece of paper that has a staff on it. Okay, we never use this, so I'm not quite sure. You maybe use this for steady beat. Let me see. I have lost the closet key, maybe. And then we've got bingo chips for notes that fit right on the staff. So that was really, really good for the kids to be able to put notes on a staff in a different way than just drawing on a piece of paper. All right, let me get back to my presentation. Okay, good. And then there are found sounds. So these are a couple found sounds. Look, it's the key. The key is there. That is a found sound. That's an instrument that you can find at home or in most places and use as an instrument. Bucket drum, steady beat cup, like I said. You can make shakers out of these. Box of cereal is also shakers. And then this, the straws, you can make them into woodwind instruments by flattening one end and then cutting, and then they can blow through it and you have an oboe, a straw oboe. I also love using literature. Just one example. So this goes with a song, and the kids, the younger kids, kindergarten, 1st grade, they love following along with these. Easy to do online and in person. Then coloring. Okay, let me tell you, coloring is magical. Like, I wasn't super into coloring when I was little, I don't think. Maybe I'm not remembering, but at least the kids I've worked with, kindergarten or preschool through 6th grade, yes, even 6th grade, they love to color. It like focuses their brains. So I usually reinforce an essential learning concept such as the 4 families of instruments in an orchestra, and I'll have orchestra music playing in the background, and they're going to color these in and label them as well, label those instruments. And so coloring, you can use that whenever you need to reinforce a concept. Last thing is dance movement. You saw that in action. I got that dance from Fire Abend. So if you've ever taken an early childhood music class, you've probably heard of him. If you haven't, please look him up. He is absolutely amazing. He pairs a lot of high quality music, including classical music, with movement, and it's very Dalcrozian, right? So internalizing beat, internalizing rhythm, developing musicianship by expressing music through their bodies. That's one of my favorite things to do. And it gets the kids up and moving. All right, go ahead and take a screenshot of this if you can. If not, I can send this to you later. But these are lots of resources. This is just, again, the tip of the iceberg, but the resources will get you to exploring more of that iceberg. So NAfME is just like one portal into many others. And this one, I just want to say really quick, the rhythm tree is great if you're teaching special education, which is something I love to do. It's a music therapy blog, but so much of the music therapy world overlaps with the music education world, especially when you're teaching special education students. One important resource is your PLC, which is a professional learning community. So that is, if you don't know what that is, it's once you get a job, you are in a professional learning community of other elementary music educators in your school district. And so you get together every 2 weeks and you talk about what's working, what's not working, you share ideas. So you get what you give, I think. If you put energy and time into it, you'll get a lot in return from your colleagues. Social media, yes, Instagram. I follow a lot of elementary music teachers on there and get great ideas. And lastly, observe, email, text your colleagues. I would say if you're in school right now, you have more time to do that, because once you start teaching full time, you will not have time to observe other people teach because you're teaching when they're teaching. So I would say if you have time now, try to get into their classrooms virtually. And then once it's safe to do so, get in there in person, because you're going to pick up a lot just by watching them. I observed Kate Reinhard when I was in school, and I learned a lot from her. I observed her probably like at least 7 times. So that is the end of my portion of the presentation. Thank you so much for listening. I'm going to stop. Oh, thank you. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now, and I'm going to hand it over to Kate for the rest of this time.
Hi, everybody, and thank you, Tiffany, for sharing all of your knowledge and doing a lesson with us. That was really fun. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. But before I share my screen, I want to make sure that everybody has a piece of paper and a pencil handy. So if you could find those really quickly, maybe take 15 seconds. If you have colored pencils or crayons, that would be even better. You don't have to get your crayons, but if you want to, that'd be awesome. Okay. So we're going to get started with just describing a little bit of the situation that's going on at St. Charles. So St. Charles, for the longest time, actually for the entire first semester, we were in person, and we were 100% in person, and it was working really well. But this past week, we have just recently gone virtual, and it's just for a week because we had some issues with COVID, but we think very soon we'll be able to come back. So thankfully, I have been able to teach as normally as possible in this pandemic, but we have obviously a few safety precautions that we take. So I travel to all of the elementary classrooms when I teach. So I do not teach anything in here except for middle school choir. This is my classroom. But as you can see, all the chairs are as far apart as possible. And we always open the windows for extra ventilation. And the kids are always wearing their masks, and in choir, they're encouraged to wear their face shields as well. But in the elementary classrooms, I think they're more comfortable being in their homeroom because that's what they're used to. They're used to their teachers' rules, especially with COVID and being safe. So all the desks are put 6 feet apart. We're always disinfecting everything. So I bring this special spray. I'm actually going to show you. Our school gave us this spray, this disinfecting spray that we put on surfaces after every single class to just kill any potential for a virus. So that is always something that we do. I also carry some wipes around, so if we ever use classroom instruments, we always wipe those down after we're finished. We like to take class outside if possible, especially when the weather was nice. At the beginning of the year, we went outside and we got to sing a little bit. We do sing inside sometimes, but the windows are open and the kids are always distanced at least 6 feet apart wearing masks. The little kids, the preschoolers, it's kind of hard to regulate their mask wearing, but pretty much first grade on up, I didn't have any issues. I haven't had any issues with masks. So being in a pandemic, there's actually a silver lining to teaching music because there is a greater opportunity to teach music history and teach listening or encourage listening activities, introducing a lot of different classical and non-classical composers. We have more opportunity to listen to world music from a lot of different cultures. We have more opportunities to connect music to other subjects, especially social studies and math have been the two biggest subjects that cross over. And then we also practice music theory a lot more. So learning about rhythms and note names are heavily emphasized. So with that being said, I hope you have found your paper and pencil. We are going to get started with an activity I would normally use with first grade. And I don't like to play favorites, but first graders are some of my favorite kids to teach because they're old enough where they can do a lot of movement activities and they're able to conceptualize a lot of musical ideas, but they're still young enough that they don't think they're too cool for musical activities. And it's so fun to just see their faces light up when they hear something or they learn something for the first time. So this is a special listening activity I would do. So I'm going to move to the next. Okay. So this is actually something I did the other week with my first grade classes. We talked about who the composer Beethoven is and just some facts about him. And actually someone asked, what is a composer? So we went over that as well. A composer is someone who writes music. And so I used Beethoven's Sixth Symphony because it's known to be a programmatic symphony and there's already a story behind it, but I wanted to get the kids to use their imagination and draw a picture of what they're thinking in their head, or if they were to make a movie with this music, what would the scene look like? Who or what would be in the scene? And I would have them write a couple words about what they were drawing. So I had some really interesting responses. I don't know if you can see this. If you can see my camera, but these are a couple of the responses. We had someone draw a flamingo and a swan. And we had someone thought it sounded like the Nutcracker. So they drew a scene from the Nutcracker, the party scene. We had someone being violently attacked by a shark. So there was a lot of variety in the responses from the first graders. So not to give you any ideas preemptively, but I'm just going to play a few minutes of Beethoven's Sixth Symphony, and I'm going to give you an opportunity to draw a scene from your movie that you're going to make using Beethoven's Symphony number 6. So go ahead and draw in 3, 2, 1. And when you're finished with your drawing, if you could send me a thumbs up reaction so I know that you're finished. I'll give you about 30 more seconds. Okay. Does anyone want to share their drawings with us? Do you want to show me in the camera? If you don't, that's okay. Oh, thank you. Thank you for showing me. Awesome. I really enjoyed the variety in those scenes. You were all using your imagination so nicely. And I loved how all of you were being silent and not using your talking voices at this time. Okay, awesome. So that's just one example of an activity I could do that doesn't require any singing at all, but is still enforcing some musical standards, some Indiana and national music standards of listening and responding and connecting. So let's move on to a different grade, to third grade. So third grade, I have to say, is the most exciting class it's the most exciting grade I've ever taught because you never know what's going to happen with third graders. They are so unpredictable, but in the best way, because they're so curious, they're so active. They still have really active imaginations, but it really depends. When a kid is 8 or 9 years old, you have a big variety in what you're going to see. So some of them are really mature and curious and forward thinking, and others are still a little bit younger, are still interested in doing a lot of the play activities and musical exploration activities that we did in the primary grades. So it really depends on what you're going to get. So with third grade, I did sort of a listening and comprehension activity. So I used this site from the Cincinnati Public Radio called Classics for Kids. And it is just a series of radio episodes about different musical topics. So it could be about a composer, it could be about a musical period. So unfortunately, this is just for Western music. So if you wanted to, this is not really a world music resource, but it is valuable for teaching Western music history. So I'm going to, let's see, we can go back. Okay. All right. I'm going to go to the Classics for Kids website, and we're just going to listen to a couple minutes of this episode by J.S. Bach. So before I started this activity with the third graders, I would set it up by explaining who is a composer, reviewing that from younger grades, and then also explaining what is a period of music. And we explained that certain composers and pieces of music are collected and organized into different categories based on the musical characteristics that they have. And there are certain famous composers that we need to know about from each musical period. So one of my favorite composers and a prominent composer from the Baroque period is J.S. Bach. And so in the Baroque unit, we had Bach, Handel, and Vivaldi. And then we moved to classical. We only did Baroque and classical last semester. So in classical, we had Beethoven and Haydn and Mozart. So I'm just going to play you an excerpt from the Bach episode, and I would have the kids write down 3 or 4 things that they did not know about this composer. And I said, anything you can write down will be helpful, because at the end of the unit, we did a special review game, and whoever won the game got candy. So they were very motivated to learn about new composers. So this is just a little bit of the Bach episode, what you might hear.
Doctor or lawyer, welcome to Classics for Kids. Is one of your parents a doctor or lawyer, and maybe as far back as they can remember, everyone in their family has gone into the same profession? Well, that's how it was with the Bach family. All of them were musicians. Johann, that's German for John, Sebastian Bach, was born in 1685 in the German town of Eisenach. His father was the official town musician there. By the time Bach was 10, both his parents had died, so he went to live with his older brother, who was also a musician, of course. Johann Sebastian Bach turned out to have very fleet fingers. He played a mean...
Okay, so I would pause about every 30 seconds and give the kids a chance to write down any information that they heard, especially with if you're on the younger side of the intermediate level, it's a really good idea to check for understanding pretty frequently when you do comprehension activities like this, because it's really easy to get lost in a long audio recording. So sometimes I would ask directed questions for understanding, like, what did Bach's family do, or what did his mom and dad do? What happened to his mom and dad? Where is he from? When was he born? Specific questions like that. And what's good about these episodes is that they include some of his most well-known repertoire. So what you heard was his 2-part invention. And if we were to listen to more of this episode, we would hear his Toccata and Fugue, and then Jesu, Joy of Man's Desiring, St. Matthew Passion. So a lot of really well-known and great pieces that these kids are being exposed to. So since we are all pretty much experts at music history, right? We are going to skip these episodes, and we're going to go straight into a game. So we're going to go into the review game. Okay, so we're going to play Jeopardy, and we're not going to split into teams because I don't know how we would do that, but this is the way I set it up. So I would copy something like this on a whiteboard, this rectangle with all the point values. And as the kids would correctly answer questions, I would just put an X through each point value. Whoever got the most points at the end, each got a roll of Smarties, because their teachers have Smarties in their rooms. So I'm going to ask everybody to unmute. And does everybody know how to play Jeopardy?
Yes.
Or you would say,
Yes.
okay, good. So we would say, hi, I'd like instruments for 500, and then I'll ask you the question. So I'm going to let's see if we have any volunteers to go first. Would anyone like to ask for a question?
I'll take geography for 100.
Okay. All right.
Go, Kira.
Kira,
You got this.
yes. So Mozart was born in this city.
Oh my god. I'm going to embarrass myself right now. Vienna? I don't know.
Very close. Very close. So it's Salzburg.
He's
Yeah.
German.
But
oh my god.
Country. He did a lot of his work in Vienna, but he was born in Salzburg.
It's okay. We skipped the review.
Yeah, yeah, we didn't listen to Mozart's episode, so we're good. No judgment. Okay. Anybody else? Anybody like to ask a question?
I'll try.
Okay, Ethan?
Woohoo!
Yes, Ethan. I'll do geography 500.
Oh, okay. I didn't.
Go big or go home, right?
Yeah.
Wait,
Right.
you're already home, but you know what I mean.
Haydn was born in this Austrian city.
Is it Vienna?
Nope. It's,
Oh,
good guess. Good guess. It's called Rorau. It's a very small town.
oh,
Yeah, see, before listening to these episodes, I didn't know half of this information. I didn't hear any of this in 402. Okay. Let's do one more question. Let's pick one more person.
Can we nominate people?
Sure.
I would like to nominate Julianne Fowler because she's a smarty. I think she can do it.
Maybe she can get some smarties for a correct answer.
Sorry to put you on the spot, Julianne.
No, you're good. I had this gut feeling. I knew it was coming. It kind of hurt. It's all right. Let's do instruments for 100.
Okay. Bach primarily played these two instruments.
Oh, violin and organ. I knew
Correct. Yay. Good job. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and mute one more time. Thank you for playing. And our winner is Julianne. Good job. So you get a roll of Smarties. Okay. So some of the categories with listening, I would just play about a minute of different pieces. So the pieces I had on my listening list were Hallelujah Chorus, Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, the Surprise Symphony, which was a big favorite with third graders, Spring from the Four Seasons by Vivaldi, and Bach's Toccata and Fugue. So pretty well-known pieces that were in all the episodes. So most of them were able to identify at least the composer, which was exciting. All right. So I am going to show you a little bit of my YouTube channel because when we did go virtual last spring, I did create a lot of sing-along videos for the primary students. And so that proved to be very valuable. This week even, I've been using the sing-along feature. So here are just some of the videos that I have. I'll go to my sing-along playlist. Oh. Sing with me. The itsy bitsy spider went up the water spout. Down came the rain and washed the spider out. Out came the sun and dried up all the rain. And the itsy bitsy spider went up the spout again. So that's just an example of something I might assign to preschool. Thank you. But there were a lot. Tiffany actually showed you a book that she used. It's called Had a Little Rooster, and it's called A Song Tale from John Feyerabend. I don't know how many of you are familiar with song tales, but I actually created a video of Had a Little Rooster. So I'll just play you a couple seconds. Had a little rooster, and my rooster pleased me. Fed my rooster neath yonder tree. That little rooster went cock-a-doodle-doo, and then, okay, I don't know how many of you know Had a Little Rooster, but it goes through a lot of different animals and on the farm, and they make a lot of different sounds. And it's a song that keeps going backwards, back to the first animal, which is the rooster. And at the end, I think there are 7 or 8 animals that make musical sounds. So preschool through first grade love listening to song tales, and they love just singing along with it too. They ask to do it over and over again. So that's something they can do at home too. And the parents, when they find out their kids have been singing song tales like this, they're generally very receptive to it, and they're impressed that the kids remember such long songs, but it's because they're fun. So yes. So I have some resources for my middle school choir on my channel as well. So if any of you are interested in seeing that. And I did some not really covers, but I'm singing art songs on my channel also. So sometimes when we have like a choral music unit, I'll direct them to my channel, and they really love listening to their teachers sing. That goes for anybody. I think they love getting to know such an intimate part of you, and singing makes you very vulnerable. So they love to see that. All right, so we're going to move to some questions. So if you have any questions for either Tiffany or me, we can take those now.
I do want to say really quickly that it is past 8 o'clock. So if you need to head out, please feel free to do that. But if you want to stick around for 5 or 10 minutes, we are happy to answer some questions. Or if you have ideas as well, you can offer that up to the group. So go ahead and unmute yourself. You don't have to raise your hand or anything.
Personally, I wonder, like, how do you guys manage kind of having to lesson plan for so many different like levels of ability?
Do you want me to take that one first, Kate?
Sure.
It definitely takes a lot of practice. What I like to do when I plan, because in a normal year, we would have different lessons for every single grade. And typically you're going to teach kindergarten through 6th grade. Sometimes you'll have preschool, sometimes you'll have self-contained special education classes. So it's a lot for sure. But as I get to know the kids when I'm lesson planning, I think of specific kids when I'm lesson planning. Okay, let me think about what Chloe and Tommy in 1st grade. Let me think about what they're like, what I think they're capable of. And I make sure that they're able to create music successfully with my lesson plan. So really getting to know the kids, having conversations with them, having like recess duty, bus duty, lunch duty, that really helps in getting to know the kids. And then tailoring your lessons to what you think would be well suited for them and successful for them, because you want to make sure they have successful, not necessarily easy, like it can be challenging, but successful musical experiences, and that will make them even more motivated to learn music. Kate, if you want to add anything.
Yeah, so sometimes I organize my lessons by units, and I teach similar content to each grade level, but just differentiate it for the different levels. So I think Dr. Galt talks about a spiral curriculum. So you can have, the same concept, but it can be at varying difficulties for each grade level. That makes it so much more streamlined for planning, and it takes off so much time. You don't have to think of a new concept for every single grade. So that's really helped me. I have recess duty outside also, and I see all of the 1st and 3rd graders all the time. So I get to know them very well. That's also very important.
My cooperating teacher, she taught me this system where she's got a big chart for each grade. And then it says January, February, March, April, May, June, or I guess it starts with August, September, October. And it shows all of those essential learning concepts in each month. So it keeps you on track to cover all the concepts that you feel like is appropriate for that age, so that they can transfer or transition successfully into the next grade. So really planning out your curriculum is very important, but of course be flexible as well. Like for instance, I had never planned to teach Martin Luther King related music activities and songs, but last week I was like, I feel like that's really important. So I scrapped some of my curriculum for that what I had planned for that week and replaced it with Martin Luther King. And I think that's what's so amazing about elementary general music as well, that you have freedom, you have creativity. Typically, you don't have anybody breathing over your, what's the phrase, breathing over your shoulders, looking over your shoulders, saying like, okay, like you have a deadline, you have a performance deadline, like these are all the things you need to cover. You typically will have a lot of autonomy to decide those things. So there is flexibility as well.
Yeah, and in teaching in a pandemic too, you know, plans could change within 24, 48 hours. So it's good to just have a lot of activities in your back pocket that you can just pull out at the last minute that don't require a lot of prep. So just practicing those over and over, like fire obend activities for the little kids, just songs and activities, listening things that you can do over and over. And little kids love repetition, so don't don't be afraid to repeat things a couple times if you have to.
I have a suggestion too. I teach K through 5 here in Brooklyn, New York. Sometimes the public schools in elementary, if they have two music teachers, they'll have one person teach K to 2 and the other 3 to 5, which is kind of nice, especially if you're just starting. But what helps me also is I have a couple of, I think I put it in the chat, like in 3rd grade, all the kids learn recorder. And so all the, essential learning skills are happening the same, because our kids don't have music every week. I mean, every year. Like I could have a 1st grade group in 1st grade that doesn't have music in 1st, 2nd, until 3rd sometimes. So there's no continuity really, and it's hard to have everyone on the same page, but we got administration to agree 3rd grade, boom. So I get be a recorder star, and I'm following pretty much that curriculum. So at least if you have one grade that you're not like creating the entire thing, on your own in your day, it's, it gives you something to hold on to. And I also wanted to say, there's organizations like Little Kids Rock. You guys have probably heard of that. There's a ton of stuff online for choruses, and if they happen to have guitars. But and the other is there's a piano program in Manhattan. I went to this workshop, and they said, if you go to this 2-day workshop, we'll give your school 32 pianos, or 30 pianos. And at the time, I didn't even have a classroom. I was on a cart like you, but I thought, I'm going to try to get the pianos, and maybe the principal will find a room for me, And he did. He found a half of a room, and I took 19 pianos, and then I had the two kids at each one. But and it's the full curriculum too, and they're online now. It's called Music in the Brain. So they switched to remote learning with us, but they're expanding around the country. I'll put it in the chat.
Thank you.
I think they call themselves Music in the Brain at Home right now.
I think we all need to go to Manhattan and participate in this program. That sounds like a great deal.
Also, there's Carnegie Hall stuff. If you could just go to the Carnegie Hall website, and they actually have for teachers, they have a progression of skills and lessons. And so that's what I've relied a lot on too, is the structure of other organizations,
Something that I learned coming out, Madeline, I feel like we're answering your question very thoroughly, but I wanted to add one more thing, is that just like Liz was saying, please get resources, lesson plans, activities from other people, and then online as well. I think when I was in college, because for our classes, we have to create our activities typically from scratch. We're making our own slides. We have to be creative, which is great. That's great, because you will have to do that at some points, but you do not always need to make your lessons from scratch. That is going to be exhausting. And there's so many other great ideas out there. So please borrow slash steal other lessons. And that's what Teachers Pay Teachers is for, as well as Twinkle. If you look up Twinkle without an E. Those are great. Those are my top two resources where teachers can share the resources they've made, and they can also go and get resources from other teachers. So it's a lot less time consuming that way.
Are there any other questions that anyone has? Last call here.
For your chorus, you're teaching chorus in the classroom now, and they're wearing shields.
Yes, they're wearing face mask and shields at
Oh,
the same time. Yeah.
is there a certain mask that you found works good for singers, or or shield, like the brand?
Yeah. So actually, I'm in my church choir also, and our director there bought us all masks from Etsy. There's this lady who makes really nice singers masks, and I can send Madeline the link to the Etsy shop, but they're like $22, and they're really it's just like 3 layers of thick fabric, and it kind of makes you look like a duck because it's so big, and it covers so much, but it allows you to take a more supported breath and not feel constricted when you're trying to sing.
In the thing.
Right, and the
in
fabric doesn't go into your mouth.
Right.
You're breathing in. So those are really nice. And then they just use any plastic reusable face shield. It can be really cheap. It's still
They
effective.
fit over that mask.
Yes, so they wear like a strap around their heads, and then there's the shield that covers the entire face. But I always tell them it's not safe to not have the mask or the shield. So when we're singing, it's especially important to be protected.
Are any of you doing any singing online, synchronous, or any of those recordings where you record your group? No.
We tried doing that last spring, but we could not. For some reason, we didn't have music as a requirement last spring. It was all optional. So only 2 kids opted into the virtual choir that I tried to organize. So we had 2 sopranos and then like no other parts. So I sent the video to them, but it wasn't as impressive as I wanted it to be because we didn't have people submitting things, but we tried. And then the band teacher at my school also tried to do a virtual band, but nobody submitted anything. So we did not find a lot of success with it. Hopefully we're going to try it again this spring and see if we can do a little better, but we don't.
We did a masked singer contest.
Yeah.
They're done it. So we did it with the teachers, did it for the kids just at the beginning to kind of be like, because everybody was so freaked out. But we could record it on our phone on the little what was the program? I can't remember. If I find, do I have your emails? If I remember what it was, but someone had to organize it. You know about it?
Well, I was just going to say, Kate, if you go to the next slide, we have our contact information. Oh, sorry.
Oh, okay.
We have our contact information here, and you can contact us and email us with any resources or any questions. We can give you copies of our slides. So we'd love to hear about that program. And then Kate, if you want to say a couple of thank yous, I don't know if there are any other questions left.
All right. Well, if you have any questions for us, you're more than welcome to, you can call me or text me or email me. And then Tiffany's email is also right here. Tiffany, are they okay to call you too? Okay, awesome. So just let us know if you need anything from us, or if you want to see any more of these resources in detail. We wanted to say a few thank yous to NAfME, ACDA, NBA, and ASTA from IU for inviting us to come and speak to you. We're so happy to share what we've been doing. It really helps us to kind of teach other people how to do it, because it makes us better teachers also. So we'd like to thank Madeline, too, for being so good at emailing us and organizing everything. And then to Sean Bradley for allowing us to do a practice presentation with him a couple days ago. He gave us a lot of good points. And thank you for coming and listening to us. So we really appreciate you. And we hope to hear from some of you in the future. Like always, don't hesitate to contact us if you need anything or if you'd like to share experiences. So yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much. Here's a Zoom round of applause from everyone here. I think we just have a few things. Ava, maybe once, if you want to take a picture, just a quick little picture for our social media if you want to be in it, if you can turn on your screens and smile for just 1 second.
Okay, everyone get ready.
Fix your hair. You all look great.
3, 2, 1. Yay, thank you.
Great, and thank you all so much for being here. Thank you again, Kate and Tiffany. You guys provided us with so many amazing resources, especially in this crazy time, and we're just so thankful. And the $5 gift card is going to Ethan Clay. I don't think he's here anymore, but he got it. And then also, please keep a lookout for information about our masterclass happening this same time next week. Same organizations plus MTNA, and it's how to build your private studio. So I hope you guys have such a great night, and thank you for being here.
Thank you.